It is Monday, October 4th. I'm Khalil Cato with the details in the SVG-TV news. Vincentians are being urged to get vaccinated as the health sector is said to be overwhelmed with positive COVID-19 cases. The encouragement comes from Minister of Health, Wellness and the Environment, Sinclair Prince, at the Evesham Vaccination Caravan over the weekend.
We have a situation which is developing fast. We have already heard before that we have over 1,100 people who are active. We have 27 deaths now. There was 1 today, 5 yesterday. The hospital is overrun. The other health facilities are under strain. We have to get more people involved from the health service point of view, etc. So it is a difficult situation that we're having now. At the same time, we see there's an increased number of hospitalization. Just today I went to the Kingstown, the Milton Cato Memorial Hospital, where they are moving people from one ward to another to make room for new entrants who are sick with COVID. Sooner or later we'll have a problem where we don't have places to put people. So people must get vaccinated now. It is not just in their own health interest. It is an economic situation, it's for education, it's for socialization, etc. The entire spectrum of our civilization is affected by COVID-19, and the best way to deal with it is to be vaccinated.
Meanwhile, at the South Rivers Vaccination Caravan, Health Promotions Officer Shanika John encouraged everyone to wear a mask, including the vaccinated. John also encouraged persons with underlying health conditions to get vaccinated, noting that the vaccine will give them a better fighting chance against COVID-19.
Remember, the vaccine does not prevent you from getting the coronavirus, and it doesn't cure you from getting the coronavirus either. The vaccine, what it does is that it reduces the severity of the impact on your body, which could lead to hospitalization, which is also significantly reduced as well as death associated with coronavirus. So when you are vaccinated, we still encourage you to wear your mask, sanitize, keep your distance, especially in instances where you may be the only one vaccinated in a particular group or bubble, or you are unaware of the vaccination status of those around you. You can still get the virus, especially if you surround yourself with a lot of persons who are not vaccinated, or even those persons who are vaccinated but indirectly also have a wider bubble of those persons who are unvaccinated. We don't have sufficient coverage in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're trying to get to 70% or more. I must say that there has been an increase in terms of the uptake or the persons who have shown interest. And so until we could get to that level, we really want to encourage persons to take all the precautionary measures. None can stand alone, and so vaccination is one of those precautionary measures you can take.
Some Vincentians have already taken the full dose of the Russian-made Sputnik 5 vaccine, which is yet to be approved by the World Health Organization, and a number of countries, including the United States, are not accepting persons with the vaccine, even if they are recognized as fully vaccinated among CARICOM countries. The issue was raised on radio yesterday, prompting a response from medical practitioner and CARICOM Secretariat Assistant Secretary General, Vincentian Dr. Douglas Slater, who considers the matter as unfortunate.
The queries expressed are valid. I think it is unfortunate that the Russian authorities seem not to be able to provide the necessary information to the WHO to really get on the way with the approval of this vaccine. I have no doubt that it is a very efficacious and effective vaccine. I have, in fact, when it just came out, I read up on its biologics, and they are very impressive in my opinion. As you know, a very reputable, some people call it the Bible of medical sciences, the Lancet, gave it thumbs up. And so it is very unfortunate, and it has put the authorities of countries who are using Sputnik in a little of a bind, as is expressed by the comments.
Russian news agency Interfax on Sunday quoted the country's health minister, Mikhail Murashako, as saying that all barriers to register the vaccine have been cleared. However, they are still awaiting some paperwork to be completed. Dr. Slater noted that persons should not be discouraged and should still get vaccinated with the available vaccines, including the Sputnik 5, which comes highly recommended among medical professionals across the world.
What I will say is that we are very lucky that we have a choice. And the concern about the use of Sputnik is not an excuse not to be vaccinated. And therefore, I strongly urge, I plead, I beg of my fellow Vincentians, let us try and cut out the partisan politics which to a large extent is driving this anti-vax. Let us work together in the interest of yourselves, your families, and our beloved home country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I can't see anybody now reasonably arguing still that you should not be vaccinated. If 30 deaths are not enough, I don't think that 30,000 might be enough.
The United Kingdom has also indicated that it will not accept travelers entering the country with the AstraZeneca Covishield vaccine. Dr. Slater explained the reason for this, but noted that the issue has been resolved.
Did indicate that they will not be accepting Covishield, which is AstraZeneca's brand that was manufactured in India and which most of the Caribbean countries, CARICOM, have been using. However, there was a big rebuttal by the Indian government, and as far as I am aware, they have since rescinded that position. So they are now accepting AstraZeneca manufactured in India.
Also addressing the issue of how the yet-to-be-approved vaccines may affect travelers was Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez, who said that he has raised the issue with the relevant authorities about the Russian Sputnik 5 and AstraZeneca Covishield vaccines, and was satisfied with the feedback provided. The Prime Minister was, however, not too pleased with the UK placing SVG on its amber list.
Given we haven't been asked for any information by the British government, but we have been working very closely with the British representative here. I spoke to him, and we have sent a lot of information to them about what we are doing. So I want to assure everybody that work is being done in that regard, because as you know, those of you in the region, or those of us who are in the region, to hear that a particular country was on a green list and we are on an amber list when our situation was much better than theirs, we'll just tell you that when bureaucrats make these decisions far away and not close to the events and not close to the happenings, they often get it wrong.
Meanwhile, today the UK relaxed its travel rules, scrapping its amber list, essentially reopening the country to millions of international passengers for quarantine-free travel. The new measures aimed at making travel to the UK easier and cheaper have significantly reduced the burden for fully vaccinated passengers entering the country. Fully vaccinated passengers arriving in England from approved countries and unvaccinated travelers under the age of 18 are not required to complete a pre-departure lateral flow test, take a day 8 post-arrival PCR test costing about £65, or self-isolate upon arrival. The only COVID requirement which remains is a single test taken 2 days after the arrival. The new system has swapped the old green, amber and red lists for a two-way scheme which places countries on either the red, that should be either on or off the red list. The changes came into effect at 4 a.m. this morning. The Ministry of Health is stepping up its health information system now that vaccination information is required not only in SVG but in other countries. Speaking on radio yesterday, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez said that they have already hired a firm to carry out the necessary work.
Meanwhile, we are perfecting all our systems involved, in particular our information system. There is a firm which has been hired. We are going to move to a card, an electronic card. And the health information systems, which is headed by Lisa Llewellyn, I spoke to Lisa herself, the work that they're doing, all the data is being put into the system from the cards, from the existing cards.
The Prime Minister explained that having the QR code would make it easier for persons traveling to various countries.
Which they have. And it's important to know that what you would be issued with to Cecil is there's a QR code which would be on each of these cards. In fact, in this transitional period, you're getting a QR code, every individual. And if you're traveling, like Luther is traveling, Luther, to make his life easier, Luther can go and get this QR code. And the Ministry of Health, I think, has issued a statement on it, or should be issuing one if they haven't done. The Health Services Subcommittee of NEMO.
The Ministry of Health has already indicated its intention to create a wallet-sized card for vaccinated persons. Meanwhile, strategic testing has been instituted once again by the Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment for travelers arriving in the state at the Argyle International Airport, AIA. This was announced in a news release issued by the ministry on Saturday, which said only travelers considered to be of a higher risk will have a nasopharyngeal swab taken for RT-PCR testing for the SARS-CoV-2 virus at the molecular laboratory unit. The release further noted that travelers categorized as higher risk include those who are not fully vaccinated or have granted approval for working quarantine. It was also noted that Testing Tourism Authority Ministry of Health approved transition accommodation during the assigned quarantine period will be at the discretion of the Port Health team. Fully vaccinated travelers quarantined for 48 hours in a Tourism Authority Ministry of Health approved transition establishment will be released when their flight has been cleared. The ministry said travelers who are not fully vaccinated will remain in quarantine for 7 or 14 days and released following additional testing. The ministry said it will continue to update the public regarding any adjustments to the entry protocol. Over the weekend, the country recorded more COVID-19 deaths, with the death toll at 28 up to news time. Thus far, the health authorities say all of the deceased were unvaccinated. On radio on Sunday, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez again reiterated the need for people to get vaccinated, noting that it gives them a fighting chance to overcome the COVID-19 virus. He also used the opportunity to express sadness over the death of Javel Frank, a radio announcer with the state-owned National Broadcasting Corporation, NBC, who passed away on Sunday, reportedly as a result of COVID-19.
One who, I'm told, somebody who died, had said in her community that she ain't taken Ralph vaccine. That I want to mislead people about that. And apparently when she went first to the medical facility, that was her stance. That was reported to me. In fact, she said that she'd rather die. No. How could that be rational? There's one also, I understand, who succumbed, who didn't want to take it because of her religious belief. I'm told that yesterday or day before yesterday, that she was saying that when the breathing got very difficult, she was saying, well, she has a testimony to tell about the need to take this vaccine. Sadly, that person didn't make it. Mm-hmm. You know, and while I'm this, I know, for instance, Javel Frank, who was a wonderful human being. I spoke to her daughter this morning, and it's a painful thing.
As news broke on Sunday morning of the death of Frank, social media and the local airwaves were flooded with condolences. NBC Radio's Facebook profile picture went black, after which a statement was issued confirming Frank's death. This morning, the radio station where Frank worked for over 8 years hosted a special call-in program where tributes poured in for the beloved radio personality. Frank was also a former employee here at the SVG Broadcasting Corporation. The management and staff here extend sincere condolences to Frank's family, friends, and the management and staff of NBC Radio. Schools across St. Vincent and the Grenadines started the new school year virtually today. This form of teaching and learning will be done for the next 2 weeks, after which the intention is to have a blended approach, incorporating both online and face-to-face classes for some schools and classes. On SVG-TV's Viewpoint program last evening, Minister of Education Curtis King said that his ministry will be closely monitoring the country's COVID-19 situation and will decide on the mode of teaching and learning thereafter, noting that the positivity rate of COVID-19 cases seem to be increasing, as well as the number of deaths.
Now, let me put it this way. Of course, we have to do the assessment. It's not that we are just going to move from online right into the blended phase. Because in this blended phase, a hybrid phase, what we are hoping to do is to provide, if you like, 3 levels of experiences. The final phase, and we are hoping that the situation would improve so much that sometime, if possible before this term ends, or sometime in the school year, that we'll be able to move back to full face-to-face instruction.
According to the Education Minister, a task force was formed which will help with the holistic decisions in the interest of students and teachers.
Basically comprising of several important stakeholders. The police, so you could look at the security side of things, transportation, obviously deal with transportation, public health, deal with getting the schools in a safe and healthy position, and so on. Of course, the officials from the Ministry of Education, so that we could address all the issues.
Meanwhile, the Minister King noted that construction and repair work at some schools have not yet been completed, including those at the decommissioned E.T. Joshua tarmac at Arnesvale.
Originally, the decision was to put the Thomas Saunders Secondary School there, but they are not quite ready in terms of the designs, so hence the grammar school will be going there. But Thomas Saunders will eventually go out there once their designs are ready and the work at the grammar school would have been completed. Right now in Beckway, work is also going on temporary classroom to accommodate the students of the Beckway Community High School. Some of those students would also be placed at the primary school next door, right? So that, again, we are doing some detailed and substantive repairs on the Beckway Anglican High School.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Community College is set to reopen next week, but will do so with online teaching and learning for returning students. This is according to Dean of the College Division of Technical Vocational Education, Osborne Bowens, also speaking on Viewpoint on Sunday. Bowen said that all provisions have been put in place for the online platform of learning.
I think that our anticipation is that we should be returning to the online environment somewhere about the 11th. That is next week, Monday. Our staff return on the 6th, and our students return on the 11th. Our final year students will return at that point. The last year, I think that the college has done fairly well. We have had a year to really tinker with this, and we have explored and experimented with a number of platforms, the Google Classroom, we use Moodle.
Bowens noted that the enrollment for new students is dependent on the results from CSEC.
Not work perfectly, but I think that we have gotten enough experience there to really allow us to move smoothly into the upcoming academic year with our final year students. In terms of our first year students, as you're aware, we have to now wait on CSEC and the release of their results to determine when our first year students would actually be coming in. I understand CSEC results should be in sometime about mid-October, and I anticipate that it normally takes about 2 or 3 weeks to just process all of the applications, so maybe by sometime the end of October into early November, we'll be considering our first year cohort coming in.
And Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez assures the nation that the government will continue to implement measures to ensure that quality teaching is provided to all students using the various platforms.
Because of the disruption and the convulsions in the economy, in the society, in health, in everything, but very much so in education. We have to make sure that we arrest any of the problems. And I want every teacher, every student, every parent, every school leader, everybody in the Ministry of Education saying this wicket, this educational wicket, is convulsed and disrupted by COVID and the volcano. But I want to give the public, the parents, I want to give the students the assurance that at the highest level of the government, we are keeping on top of this. I reiterate, quality teaching, quality school leadership, quality parenting, maximum effort by the students, which include attendance, in concert with a top-notch educational administration apparatus to get the optimal outcomes for our students. Otherwise, we are going to have problems over the next 5 to 10 years because of these disruptions and convulsions in the educational system.
As of Friday, October 1st, 20 students are recipients of the 2021 Republic of China Taiwan Scholarship. Speaking at the handing over ceremony, Ambassador of the Republic of China Taiwan to SVG, His Excellency Peter Lan, said that the scholarships this year are divided into two, of which 14 of them were sponsored by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of China and Taiwan, and 6 were awarded from the Taiwan ICDF Scholarship, which was sponsored by Taiwan International Cooperation and Development Foundation.
I was told that over the past 17 years, a total of 223 Vincentian students has enrolled in degree programs in Taiwan through these 2 scholarships. Of course, this year is quite challenging because COVID-19 is still threatening the whole world. But I can assure you that all the Taiwan government agencies, including our embassy, are doing our best to expedite and facilitate your journey to Taiwan so you can start your study as soon as possible.
Also speaking at the handing over ceremony, Minister of Education Curtis King said that this initiative is a true demonstration that the government of SVG sees education as the key factor in building a post-colonial economy and progressive society.
So major was this issue that the schools or the institutions in the urban area tended to be well endowed with resources, whereas those in the rural areas lack basic resources. Hence, the trend of traveling to Kingston for basic education service. It is a trend which has now become a tradition, so that even now that we have enhanced significantly the distribution of resources throughout the state with regards to education, we still have quite a large number of persons still trying to get their children an education in Kingston.
The Education Minister further encouraged the awardees to make the best use of the opportunity that was given to them and to make the country proud.
I want to remind you that you have this opportunity, an opportunity to transform your own lives and ultimately the lives of your family, and very importantly, from where I sit, transform our economy and our society on your return to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So I therefore want to encourage you to make the best use of this opportunity. Don't waste it. Make yourself proud. Make your families proud. Make St. Vincent and the Grenadines proud.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonzalez said the 20 Taiwan Scholarship awardees will help to create opportunities for other students locally. He thanked the government and people of Taiwan for their continued support to the development of SVG and its people, noting that the scholarship program is a vital way of strengthening the relationship between the two countries.
Creates opportunities for you to develop your talents, your skills, and for you to build your career, and for you to contribute to your own development, that of your family and of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and humanity. We are having 3 times the number of scholarships now than we started with in 2004. I was, as Peter Land said, the person who drove the issue with the government of Taiwan at the time, and I remember Elizabeth Chu.
The Prime Minister also encouraged the scholarship recipients to do their best.
God bless all of you, and please learn the language of the Taiwanese people. Learn Mandarin. If you can speak English as you can and write it with proficiency, and you can do the same thing with Mandarin, though it's a different alphabet, it's more problematic. But other persons have mastered it, have done well. Like Brother Shallow, for instance, speaks it well. I don't know how well he writes it, but I suspect he'll be pretty okay at writing it too. It's a skill he developed over the years.
The police have arrested and charged 20-year-old Sandy Gloucester, a laborer of Barrowley, for several offenses, namely burglary, damage to property, and possession of unlicensed ammunition. The accused man allegedly entered the Barrowley police station as a trespasser and stole several items valued at 560 EC dollars, the property of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, for without lawful excuse, allegedly damaging one black aluminum 4x4 sashed glass window valued at 450 EC dollars, the property of the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Police say the investigation further led to the accused being charged with the possession of a 9mm round of ammunition without a license issued under the Firearms Act. The incident occurred at about 2 p.m. on Saturday. The accused is to appear before the Serious Offences Court to answer to the charges.